just to put out there, Bishop sees $150 million for community housing providers levels playing field with Kāinga Ora. So basically, he is essentially helping or putting money towards community housing providers and offering them cash from the Crown, essentially, to help them in funding the initial push for community housing development. I have personally worked with a company or social enterprise, essentially, that does community housing, and they are actually providing a really good need. However, at the beginning, it was really, really hard because they didn't have any assets large enough to essentially borrow more money from the bank. So they had to fund a ton of money just to get the project off the ground in order to get the mortgage to build these houses. Now that they've got a few assets under their belt, they're able to get the ball rolling even further, and they're able to borrow a bit more because they've got assets to borrow against. Community housing providers are fantastic because they fill a lot of the holes where Kāinga Ora can't house people, or they won't house people for things like not paying their benefits or whatever other fucking sanctions they want to give them, or criminal records, whatever bullshit, right? So they're able to fill those holes and say, actually, the people that the government won't house because of whatever reason, will fill that gap and get them off the housing register. So I'm pro community housing and giving them more money. I don't know specifically where this money is coming from and what this means. So that is where I'm going to stop and just go, sounds great, but also it kind of also sounds like Kāinga Ora aren't going to get given the resources to also build houses. It's kind of like, it's the same idea of throwing it to the private sector and say, you guys do it, you know?
Yeah.
We can't do it. We can't possibly do it. You guys do it. So I love the idea, but it would be nice to see it on top of Kāinga Ora also building houses.
Yeah, I don't think, it doesn't feel accurate to say that. Yeah, like, it doesn't replace, just like, great, give them that money, but that does not replace what you're doing with Kāinga Ora. Like, you need to do both, because $2.9 billion to landlords. Just, one number.
That's, $150 million. It's a drop in the bucket.
Right? That's only in the 0.9 of the billion.
It's tiny, tiny money. So I don't know. I'm all for it. I'd love to see more community housing funding, but I'd also like to see more houses built in general. So.
Also, apparently, according to this, I'm not sure if this is true, but it might be coming from sale of house. So it's so that would actually mean you have to double whatever they're selling and whatever they took from Kāinga Ora. You got to double that, because now they're also getting rid of assets. Yeah.
Which
that makes
use
sense.
To borrow against. Which
yeah.
Or they could put 6 houses on those giant, was it Remuera? I think it was. Those giant properties, properties that they saw on the side of a hill. They could put 6 houses on that. And then they've like quadrupled the cost of that land, right? Because now you got $2 million land asset. Now you've got $2 million land asset with like 4 fucking $500,000 homes on it.
Also,
quick
note,
couldn't possibly do that.
Good point from Gary.
That's true.
It's not publicly owned, and that is the other thing, is that we need to keep public assets. It's great to give them to the other things, but give it to the publicly owned shit. My God, stop trying to privatize us, you Tory bastards. I mean, what?
It's a give and take, right? Like, it's this idea that someone called me out for, but Gary Panda said it. It's the idea that the public and private sector work really well hand in hand, but the public sector is the one that needs to be boosted, and the private sector will fill any small gaps,
Exactly.
not replace, small gaps.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that want to pay for their health insurance, like, go for it, whatever. But as long as you're not taking money from public. It's the same thing here, right? The public sector will only go so far in terms of what they are comfortable with in terms of housing, and then the community providers will provide the extra assistance for those who perhaps don't meet the requirements for God knows what fucking reason. But it's the idea that they have to work in tandem. But Kāinga Ora should be the one that are building the fucking houses, not the community.